How would you handle trimming taking profit in the scenarios you still had less capital? Seems like a lot of bigger gains come from holding runners. Absolutely. So, when it comes to it, like, okay, there's never a concrete answer for that. It's more what your situation is. If that small account is money you desperately need, um, obviously it's going to be harder to hold runners, and then at the same time, then you got to ask yourself why you're trading to begin with. Right? You shouldn't be trading when you really need that money because then you're going to hold yourself back from making rational decisions. The best way to hold when it comes to a small account is, in my opinion, there's quite a few ways. One, if it's money that is important but it's not like life-changing money, or let's say $1,000, or let's say $3,000, right? Obviously, $3,000 is a lot, but I'm not saying you're going to lose all of it. Let's say you have $3,000 and you get into a position that's worth, I don't know, $300. Like you have to think in your head like, okay, I'm gonna risk 50% of that, right? So like $150. And then let's say it goes from being a $3 contract to a $7 contract. And you're like, okay, wow, this is up 100%. That's then when you have to look at the chart, right? A lot of people think it's a stagnant answer. No, you have to look at the chart. You have to see where it is. That's why I keep on saying that fib extensions are actually a very crucial tool that you should refer to. So, like for example, let's go to JPM, right? JPM, we knew that it's breaking out and testing the previous all-time high, right? I know there's a lot of drawings on here, so let me clear some of it out. But we knew the all-time high was 337.25. I drew this fib extension here, which gives us our three levels that we want to look at. So that's the 100 ratio, right? We took the trade above the 100 ratio, and now it tests the 1618 ratio. So if our first fib extension is hitting the 1618 ratio, if I had a small account, even though of course, JPM does have potential room up to 364, does that mean if I have a small account, I'm still just going to hold that one contract when it's hitting a very crucial fib extension at 1618? No, I'm not, right? Because this is still the first move up. We already made our new all-time high. We hit a fib extension, and that's it, right? Let's say we had one contract. This is a reasonable place to get out. Now our job is to not just like look away from JPM. We still have this on our priority list, and we make sure that we look at, okay, all right, when is JPM going to retest a daily SMA, or when is it going to set up on the 1 hour, right? If it's going to consolidate, or let's say even JPM sets up tomorrow. Let's say today the 1 hour kind of comes over here, holds this previous all-time high, and then creeps up backwards. Friday or Monday, it could be a good swing for JPM. So the reason why I'm saying this is because when it comes to a situation like this and when you have a small account, it really depends on how the chart is. If you, for example, you're in contracts and let's say you're up 100% on JPM and you got it all the way down here at 330 and you're up 100% here at 337.25, you could do three things. One, obviously you could just close and be like, okay, I'm happy with the profits, which I'm not always happy with. If I believe there's still more room, which in this case there was with the fib at 161, I like to hold it, right? Number two is, as you've clearly seen actually on on this small account, hopefully you guys realize this, sometimes if the contract gets expensive for the account, I would close that position and get into a cheaper contract. So you could even see that on the Twitter account as well, right? Let's say a contract gets very expensive, like 70 delta, I close it and I get into a cheaper contract. So then I at least secure some of the profit or at least the initial investment, and then I still leave room for risk to the upside. But then I would look at that last runner as a very like that new position I look at as a very like I can't like keep an eye on it every single minute. Like I can't if it's down like 20%, I can't be like, oh my God, let me close, right? I need to be okay with it. Or you could do what I talked about previously, which is bake it into a ghetto spread, which is where, let's go to CVS, for example, right? We have the CVS call. In fact, I might get out of my last runner here. Um, let's say we hit this target and we're like, okay, all right, I think, I still think there's possibility that CVS is going to hit 108, but the contracts are now at 270. I don't want to risk at that much of my account. Either I can make this into a get a spread where I can sell a contract that's less expensive to gain back some of the capital of that, and then at least have some less risk towards it. So like for example, if we were to sell the 109 call, we would get back about $130 of that $270. So then we would be risking $140, right? And then of course the downside to that obviously is that our upside is limited, right? So we would only be able to make about what's the difference? About like 250 to $300 more. So you have different kind of you know, things you can do is what I'm trying to say, Vic. Hopefully answers your question. There's you can make it into a debit spread or a ghetto spread. You can just get a cheaper contract, or you could just close it if it's at a valid level. I personally do the first two a lot more. Um, like in fact, I think I might close my last CVS here. And like if I close CVS here and I still think there's room to the upside, maybe I'll buy the 107 calls. And that's 40 delta, pretty great. Get a decent amount of risk potential to the upside and I risk less capital. So that's one way you could do it. When things continue in trends, especially if you trade a similar way as me, they continue, right? So that's why I have a lot of insanely big trades. It's not because, like, oh my God, he's got magic. No, it's because I trade stuff that have momentum. So if you're trading, that's another part. If you're trading things that have momentum, you could be a lot less like how do I say it? You could be a lot less controlling over your runner position. You could just kind of sit back and let it do its thing. Because if it's in momentum, it will most likely continue for a decent amount of time. Your job is to figure out where it is in the momentum, right? So that's also very important. Kevin, I've been strongly getting out of swings. For example, I took M swing yesterday and today I was up 40%, but I didn't exit, got out of break even, never got invalidated, disappointed myself. Do you have a plan for trimming on swings? I usually wait for one fibs or high to get out, but they are up a lot before they even get close to them. Um, Wait, hold on, let me reread that. Are you saying, okay, so you're saying you were up 40% and you got out at break even instead of trimming at 40%? Okay, so look, fib extensions are a great tool. You obviously need to know what fib extension to draw. So like for example, we have this fib extension here on the daily. So we already know that we already know from the first trend, Macy's is above the 161.8 ratio, right? What did I talk about whenever price is above the first trend's fib extension of 161.8? It's usually going to be the most volatile, right? It's either going to go up a lot or it's going to chop in volatile ranges and then go up, right? So that means we still have to go into the 1 hour to try to draw a fib extension here. And that's where you could just draw this one. Hmm, where's the high? Okay. We could draw this one here. And you could see that you hit a fib extension at 25.99. So so you have to realize that you're in a very volatile state for Macy's, and it doesn't mean that the trade is overextended, but it also means the probability of continuation to the upside is very limited until there's really good consolidation, right? And even though, Macy's did retrace downwards, it still didn't have any consolidation. It had a very good setup, it was a good trade. I was looking at Macy's yesterday too. But I definitely would have trimmed at 25.99 because you can't just go according to one fib, right? You always need, in my opinion, you always need a daily fib, especially we want to reference the first fib extension, see how that's doing. And then now we know that price is above the 161.8 ratio. We either want to be doing one of few things, right? We either want to be in conservative sizing and holding for the bigger trade all the way up to 28.08. Or if we go normal sizing, we want to make sure we reference our 1 hour fib extension for the most recent price action to make sure we trim out at the earliest convenience, right? But then if you want to still hold on to this trade, you would reference the SMAs to kind of see like, okay, are we still holding it? So Obviously, since the SMAs are a little bit farther down on the daily, you would kind of would want to reference the 1 hour 10 SMA. So
So
that's how I would have played Macy's. So like if I was in Macy's today, I probably would have trimmed here at 25.99. And you can even see I drew this without even looking at Macy's chart, right? So I would have trimmed here. I probably still would be in a position. And if it kind of loses this area here, I would just get out of the rest, right? A good way, in my experience, to get past the whole, two things I thought that kind of changed it for me is if I were to start taking profit aggressively, so like if I start taking profit at 40% and fully getting out at 40%, I would be completely negating all the times when the trades went up like 100 something percent, and I'm just getting out of 40% because of a few situations, right? So I always keep that in the back of my head. I would rather let my trade play out versus me getting out too early. So, that's something I thought that kind of changed it for me as well. And then I also keep on thinking about how whenever I'm in a trade, if let's say I go according to percentage stop loss, if my predetermined stop loss is 35%, that is how much I'm willing to lose. So if my trade goes up 30%, why am I looking to get out, right? That profit is, first of all, it's unrealized. And when I first initially started that trade, I never had that profit to begin with, so that profit is not mine. So I don't think of that profit as mine. When you think of it as yours, that's when you start thinking like, oh my God, I gotta take that money away. That's my money. I gotta secure the losses from recently and stuff like that. And that's what really will hinder your progress. So I keep on telling this, we're in the market where that saying, see green, take green, or you don't go broke taking profit. I don't believe those sayings exist anymore. To be able to make sure that you're doing well, especially if you're swinging or day trading and not scalping, you're gonna have a little bit more losses than what you're used to. But you want your winners to be outpacing your losers, and the only way you do that is by making sure you're holding runners to the points you want it to do, right? So for example, we were in CVS and JPM, right? They were up like 40% or 30%. I didn't trim them, right? I could have, but but what am I trimming for? It didn't hit any of target of mine, didn't do anything. But once they started approaching targets of mine, or once they hit targets of mine, that's when I took action and trim and closed. And hey, if I held CVS and it just ended up selling off, so be it. It's okay. At least I'm still sticking to my rules where, next time, for example, if you guys remember GLW from Thursday to Friday, Monday, GLW was up like 20% around open. I could have taken profit. That was an expensive contract. That was like, it went from, I'll tell you right now, it went from, yeah, I can remember. It went from $10.95 to like 13 bucks. For an account our size, $300 is very decent profit, but we're not trading our account size, we're trading GLW. So GLW is still very valid and didn't hit my target. So I just held it, and I held GLW literally almost till the exact top of that day, which was what my target was, which was previous all-time high, which was 211.79. And I closed that contract out for I think like $18 or $19, right? So there's gonna be cases where you're gonna have trades like Macy's where you wish you would have taken profit but you didn't. But then you're gonna have extreme winners like GLW that make you realize, well, if I didn't hold my runner or my position or majority of my position till my target, I would be regretting it. So that's how I would approach it.